let's test. One, two, three. Okay, I think it works again. So last time somebody said that the bass was too much, so I've lowered it a bit. Hopefully it's on a more reasonable level now. I tested this before the stream, but I don't have proper headphones. I have these little like earbuds, and I don't know, they probably don't play the bass sound that well. So let me know if it's still screwed. Anyway, more tunnels. More tunnels. I updated Blender since last stream, because I had some issues making a railing for the staircase. Show you in a second. Right, so the problem I had last stream was bringing in a square face like this, and then just doing something like this, right? And what I usually did in previous versions of Blender is I selected everything and I removed only faces, so I was left with this. And then what I did was I selected like this and select by direction. Now this, if I rotate it, it'd be easier to imagine. So this would be the railing of like a staircase or something else, like a balcony, whatever. So what I wanted to do was separate like these, because right now these are all combined, right? They're attached. So I wanted to do something like this. Select similar direction and then press Y to separate these, right? And you see it dissolves these other edges. And in previous versions of Blender, it didn't do that. So I noticed now instead I can do this. I can go up here. I can split faces by edges, and that works. That kind of works. It's not the same though, because if I select this now, you see that these are all separate, whereas before my selection would still be merged, if that makes sense. So right now I can't like do a control select because these are not attached, right? And that is really, really annoying. But I found a workaround for this, which is worse, I think, but it works. And that is just to not dissolve the faces at all. Just to keep it like this, right? This would be the railing. And then do something like this, select by direction, and then just do the split like normal, which means now it's like a duplicate, like it's still on the plane there, but it's also here, if that makes sense. Select this by direction, press Y to split. And now when that's done, I can select one face and just select linked is what I do, and delete. We can delete the vertices here, which leaves us with only what should become the railing later. But now what I could do is select everything, press X, and do a limited dissolve that removes all of these extra verts in between. Because if I select only this, for example, you see it's got all these extra verts that I don't want. So selecting everything and doing a limited dissolve gets rid of all that, which makes this all a lot more optimized. If it's like a huge staircase, for example, with loads of these supports, then that makes it a lot easier to deal with. Also, it also makes it a lot easier to UV unwrap and stuff later on as well. So right now, after I've done all that with this, I could convert it all to a curve, and Blender will probably crash now because it's not responding, it seems, for some reason. Oh, there we go. I think I accidentally selected multiple things there, that's why that happened. Let's do that again, curve, and there we go. smooth, and I'll just expand this like top bit. That'd be the railing, right? So at least I figured that out. It's just an annoying change, I think. But maybe there is a better way around it. Maybe there's an option that I missed or something where I can fix that. I hope so, at least. Anyway, let's fix something else. So I noticed yesterday I missed one of these pavement pieces. I think it's probably one here. So let's enable the reference again. Hide the camera there. So it's this this piece here. Let's just make another face. Put that here. And I'll extrude it to where the outer edge is of this one. By scale. By distance. So the one in the game, it looks a bit more, what's the word? A bit more uneven there. But I think this is okay. Let's drop this down to floor level. I'm going to inset it by, I think 0.2 is what we used. So inset 0.2. Yeah, looks correct. Let's delete that face and just pull this back to here. Extrude it up to the pavement level there, and then I'm just going to select this loop and extrude up to that. Okay. Let coplanar, delete these faces, do the same thing here. Cool. Now I'm just trying to remember how I did this last time. I think I did something like that, right? This can be dissolved. And then I unwrapped like that. Let's also copy the textile density here first. And paste that here. But first, let's fix this first. So I'm going to press P here to pin that UV island. And then I think I could just unwrap it again. Oh. It's pinned. Oh, right. So what I need to do is I need to remove that that seam there and then unwrap again. And then those edges will attach again like that. Okay. And how did we do this? I'm just going to copy that across. Preview that. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let's go back and let's look at this reference again. Just looking at more of these pavement pieces on the sides. Snap to edge, so I'm snapping it to the wall. I'm assuming it's the same size down here, right? It's not. Okay. And this is behind the end of the map or the end of the tunnels. So this is actually wasted detail. Flip this around, put this here. Make sure it's in the right place. Okay. There's one up there as well. This one seems a bit smaller though. I do think these pavement pieces, they do quite a lot for just the visual of the tunnels. Looks a lot better. So this reference, I tried to make it so that it hides itself whenever it's in the rendered mode, but I failed, and it's creating this weird shadow for some reason, but I kind of like it. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's finish adding all those pavements. So this one here would probably be good to have. I don't know, something like this, probably good. I scale and do the same thing. Inset 0.2. Delete this one, pull that back to the wall. Same thing as before. Let's change snapping to surface, uncheck align to rotation, and then extrude up to that point. Select these and extrude up to here. Dissolve this edge. Select coplanar, remove, same thing here. Just so that we don't texture something that won't be visible to the camera anyway. Okay, same thing as before. Just selecting that, I'm gonna UV unwrap that, which gives us that. And then I think I forgot to set the texture density up here, but whatever, we'll do that last, I guess. Yeah. So now I select this island here, I pin it with P, then I remove the seam and I unwrap again, which gives me that border back to the island. And then it's not really necessary, by the way, to do this. It's just in case I want to pack everything later in a nice way. But I think what I could do, if I wanted to do this properly, is I'd make a trim sheet instead. Just have a trim of the cobblestone, or whatever you call this, like on the edge. And then just have the seamless texture of asphalt. Let's just copy this material and then set this to be pavement. Okay. I forgot to check if it's actually sticking out just as much as the other one. So I'm just going to set vertex snapping and do this just to make sure. And it seems like it does, or maybe not. Okay, so I'll do this. I'll select this vert last, change this to active. Now it should snap. Yep. Okay, so this one can be deleted again since it's not gonna come with this tunnel map anyway, since it ends here. Just checking if this piece appears anywhere else. So up there we have this one again, it seems. It's not the same. It's quite similar though. What if I do that? I mean, it kind of works. Kind of. Let's do this, I think, and smart apply, and then just fix this a little bit. That's better. Stretches the texture there a bit, but I'll fix that later. Okay, so we got all the side pavements done. I did notice something though. If we go into the PRF here, and then I just need to find the screenshots I took of this area. It's probably in the end here somewhere. Some of these we can move to the side. Oh, and I also noticed the walls are quite different. It's got this checkered texture rather than the concrete that I'm using right now. So I should probably change that as well at some point. I took screenshots of the pavement, like this area here. That's what I took screenshots of that I'm looking for. It's very hard to spot here. Because this looks different than what it does is for the normal pavement, right? So that would be around here. The annoying thing here is I can tell now that this is lifted, right? So here's the normal pavement. Then it's these big blocks, and then there's another floor, right? So this goes up a little bit. Yeah. Let's look in top-down view again. Let's remove this temporarily. I'm assuming it's about 0.2. Maybe even 0.4. Not 4, 0.4. Something like that. This means I am going to have to remake this staircase here, but that's okay. It just means 2 more steps. So did I? Yeah, I apply that. So I think this is 0.2, right? Check. No. Okay. I'm gonna hide the tunnels reference there for a little bit. Gonna hide this all. So it's 2.405 is the distance from that floor. So if I just raise this by 0.05, then this should be, let's do this again. Did I type the wrong button there or something? Try that again. Oh, there's another comma there, that's why. Distance should be accurate now, hopefully. Yeah, 2.4, okay. So I'm gonna have to make another staircase. Split this off. Raising it by 0.2. This can go down by 0.2. Gonna move the origin to the edge there. Look in top-down view. Give an array. Change the direction. something like that. It's probably good, but this looks like I lifted it too much, maybe. This would mean that this would be this tall. So each step would need to be like what, 0.1 instead then, I guess? The opposite problem. I'll just do this. I'll put the empty at the top of this thing. I'll put this down here. Snap it to top of this thing. So that's where I want it. And then I have to adjust the height of each step, and that should fix it. There we go. Tell this to merge. Increase this a little bit, so to make sure. Can apply that. That's the new staircase done. And then I need to put another type of floor here, I guess. Like this. This goes out to where it meets this thing. Just this a little bit. You have to pay attention to where the road starts lifting as well, and I think that's about here. Probably easier to just use one piece like this, snap it. This. Selecting this vert last, changing it to active snapping. And I'm going to snap it to this vert here. I guess this floor is doing the same thing, so I should probably add an edge about there. Pull this all the way. Hiding the reference for a sec just to see what that looks like. Okay, just gonna give this a concrete texture. And I guess this is also like a concrete maybe. Staircases at least. Probably the floors down here too, right? Should be concrete. I'm not sure what that hole is right there. That shouldn't be there, I think. Let's double check the reference. Nope, should not be a hole there. Maybe I accidentally did that at some point with the Boolean. There. Yeah, that looks okay, I think. Now we got that thing there. There's also a railing that's supposed to be on the side there. So I could add that. Now I could show that issue that I had yesterday. Just thinking of how I want to do this. Let's do this maybe. So usually I just use a plane to do this. So I think what I'll do is, yeah, I'll do that again. So put a edge that goes through the whole thing right like that. I'll change it to object here so we can see a bit better. Material. Select this vert and this one over here. Separate them. P. It's a new object. Join them like that. Just pull it up. 1.1 meters is usually the right height for a railing. Okay. And then I'm just going to put one in the middle because that seems to be in the right place for a support, right? Just increasing the amount here until it looks okay. Or I can just manually put it somewhere where it looks okay, like that. And then maybe there. Yeah. And then maybe one support through the middle. Or is it two? It's two in the game, it looks like. All right. Like this, select by direction, select all those edges. Press Y to split them off. And select this one by selection, press Y, split them off. Then I'm just going to select one of these faces, select linked, and delete everything, which gives me only these edges left, right? But these still have all these verts, and I don't want those, right? So I'm just going to press X and limited dissolve. That removes all those extra verts in between. So now these are all split individual pieces. Hey Berserk, how you doing, man? And what I want to do now, before I convert this into a curve, is I want to resize this top one a little bit. Maybe give it a little thing like that. Okay, apply scale on that, and then I'm going to convert this to a curve. And change the thickness to minus 0.02. Resolution should be 0, so it's just like a square. So it's super low poly. And then I can convert this back to a mesh. I'm going to fill this hole in. I'm going to add a seam there and mark it as sharp. And do the same thing down here. Fill that in. Seam, mark sharp. And then sharpen the whole thing with a smooth angle of 95 degrees. That gives the illusion that it's actually rounded, while it's actually still just that square, right? So from a distance, it'll look fine. I guess I could do the same thing as reference there, make the bottom piece a bit thicker. Like I realize this, the height of this is probably not exactly the same as in the game, but something like that. Same thing there. And then just adding seams is super easy. Since all of these inner supports, they're uncapped. So you just need to select these edges here on the side. Should be done. Forget one maybe. Oh. Align these with your pack master. That's it. So I realized this one is straight up there, and this wall doesn't cover the whole thing. Actually, it doesn't cover anything. Let's delete this. Let's check again. Rendered mode. Okay, it's getting better. I can't remember. Did I make like a metal texture? I don't think I did. I think I just used the same air conditioner material. For now, I'm just going to give this floor the same concrete material, I think. Just as a temporary solution until I get this in. Music sounds like it's from Blade Runner or something. Let me check. It's called My Darkest Hour by Jimmy Svensson. It's just a big playlist of dark ambient music that I have. Okay, so let's add this like rock floor, whatever this is. Pull this to the side. It sounds very dark ambient to me. Yeah. It's in the right playlist then. Okay, what now? make these fences maybe, because there's like chain link fences everywhere. And I already have the texture on this map. This one over here. Should probably name this actually chain link. Let's see in the top-down view, maybe I can see how far that stretches. Turn on texture again. Okay, so I think I'll do the same thing as before. But I think I only need these, maybe. Let's bring in a reference man here. And again, he's the wrong scale for some reason. I think I updated the asset library and I must have accidentally done something with this guy. Looks a little bit too dense, I think. So maybe if we lower it to 0.5. And it seems like maybe it's also not high enough. Maybe it should be something like that. solidify, and then I'm pressing 2 to make it extrude its thickness from the middle rather than the side. Join these two, sharpen. Don't really want to sharpen this actually, so let's split that off again. And we'll sharpen it at a lower angle, something like that. These can be covered up. Hey, I think I'm gonna use the air conditioner texture here. Change this to a shader editor. Wrap. Did not want to unwrap that again. Let's do that again. Unwrap. There we go. Pack that quickly. And just put it somewhere where it would it look okay. Change this to bounding box. I also need to change the vertex paint to black, I think. Okay. I have to do this on the other side as well, I think. Let's do the same thing with this railing. I'm just doing link material to grab the same one. Then same deal here, just pack and then scale it, put it somewhere. And again with the texture paint. Vertex paint, I mean. If there's a lot of railings like this, it might be better to just make a geometry node setup to do it quickly. Same thing with these chain link fences, actually. That might be a better solution. It's another one here. I guess this floor goes all the way here as well. Like this. I have not made this ventilation system yet, so I could do that, I guess. Maybe I could just use the same image again for that. So let's put this guy here somewhere. Then use box cutter maybe for this. I'll get the same size, same shape. Something like this. Then maybe just grab this from this one. Let's do a cube projection. Use the same material. Okay, let's merge these two now. And duplicate. Yeah. Let's look in rendered view, see what that looks like from a distance. That looks all right, I think. Not exactly the same size, but maybe if I do something like that, it's fine. Like this, these pillars should go out a little bit more. Just to give space for that fence there. Could I just duplicate this? That would be handy. Kind of. Okay, that's fine for now. Let's switch to something else. This tube here, I think it's large enough that it needs to be on the map. Otherwise, I would probably skip it. So it's this thing here. So it looks like it stretches almost the same distance. Not quite, but almost. Hmm. Use box cutter here to add these screws or whatever this is. Press A to make that a mesh. Lift that up to about here, I guess. This is like a super small detail that maybe I shouldn't really spend time on this. But I think it might look a bit better from a distance anyway. So I'll do it. Okay, and now I want to have this this frame on the outside, and I'll use hard ops for that. So I press Q again, Q O T, and I want to have this cube shape. That'll be the frame. Maybe I could just split that off and then delete that. And then just trying to get the thickness right of those pieces on the side. Let's do the same thing here. Something like that. And then this is probably more in the same ballpark. Delete that. Extrude this a bit. Right, and then those supports on the inside. Just thinking about how I want to do that. I think I'm just going to grab this face here. And then after I grab, like, it's highlight the face, I press 4, which is Smart Face in Machine Tools, and that just duplicates it out as a new object. I think something like this looks similar, right? Let's do something like that. I'm going to put the origin in the center of this thing. And then I'm going to use Alt A to align. I don't want to align rotation. And I only want to align on the Y axis. That didn't quite work. I think it's because the origin of this is in the wrong place. Let's do that again. There we go. Now I'm gonna duplicate this, highlight that thing, and then mesh cut. And that made it so that I use this object as a cutter, basically to cut a hole in this support thing I made. So now I can just delete all these. And then I should be able to just mirror across. Do the same thing here again. Kind of. At this shape here. To do that, I guess I could just grab this. Same thing again, use press 4 to get the smart face thing. Pull this down to about here. Make it a bit bigger, I guess. Extrude, use that as a cutter object and cut a hole. And the reason I'm not using just a Boolean is because I'd have to clean that up anyway. So this, I mean, it's either or. I think what the cutter thing does is it is a Boolean in the background anyway. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it, I guess. Okay, and then the ladder, also just a plane. And I guess I'm gonna do the same thing as before with the railing for the staircase, basically. Actually, it's a bit easier for this, I suppose. We could just use one of these. Yes. Need some more space for the ladder there. Convert to mesh, sharpen, set that 95 degrees. Split this off to a new object. An array. Thing like that, maybe. Maybe it's not that wide either. Okay. To the side a bit. Let's see if I have another picture of that same thing. I don't know if there's a ladder on the other side. I guess it doesn't matter. It's not that important. Let's also check here. This is actually not that good. Keep misclicking the floor and then I zoom out like that. It's annoying. Okay, and then it's like these supports as well on the ground and above. So how do I want to make that thing? So it's probably select these here, press 4, fill that in, limit to dissolve. Why doesn't that work? .15, and I guess 0.15 here as well, right? 0.15. I can remove that thing I did there. Cross. No, I did that thing again. Because this is actually just clips into this cylinder. So I guess I'll just use a plane here. It's not exact, but I think it's probably fine. I could adjust this a little bit, I suppose. Something like that, and then I could maybe extend this slightly. No, that looks horrible. It does have something on top there that I could just clip it into, just like it does in the game. Alright, Reamer, what's the playlist called again? It's my own playlist I put together. Hold on, I'll send it to you. How do I copy one? Share. It's on Spotify. Hopefully you have that. There you go. Okay, let's think about this. So it's got like fastening things on top there. Let's just do this, I guess. Something like that. Maybe a few more. Sharpen. Let's turn on wireframe. Set this to vertex center. Do the same thing again. He's going to select all of this. This will be that. What is the word for this in English? Like a, not tape, but it's like a fastening rope. I have no idea what I would call that in English. Something like that. And then I'll put the origin in center, symmetrize across, so it's the same length. Then here I'll mirror that across. Give this a little bit of thickness. Sharpen. And I could also remove the bottom here because nobody will ever see that anyway. Same thing with these on the inside. Nobody would see that ever. Something like that, and let's see, it's the set object. It is set that to a square. Maybe I could just cut that a little bit. No, that looks bad, I think. Maybe if I do this, set that to view instead. Cut. Straps, thank you. Okay, okay. What is this thing here? What's going on here? Something is broken. Why can't I join these? That's kind of weird. I think I see now. There's some overlapping going on. What in... Just move this out a bit, and then I do this. Subdivide 2. Fix these normals, fix these normals. Now I'm going to apply that, apply this as well, join these, and then make sure I'm in vertex center, and then Alt-D to make a data linked copy, and just keep doing that. It will snap to the center of each one of these like that, and then I could just, did I do this? Limit to dissolve? Yes, I think so. Cool. Let's see if I turn on shadow here. It's a bit easier to tell what it will look like. Okay, and then it's got that weird support in the middle there. Don't know what that is. I guess I just do this. Put the origin in the middle. Again, symmetrize across to get the same same distance. Okay, and then this looks like it's something like this. Goes down to here. Sharpen that. And then symmetrize across. Same deal here, that I could probably delete this. But first I am going to select these edges here. Add a bevel with a profile of 1. Looks like I might have to apply scale first. Let's do it again. Something like that. Then selecting all of this. Extrude along normals. Cool. And then I can remove all of these on the inside. And I can probably also remove all these ones at the bottom. Then there's like a box thing sticking out on the side there. I'm not sure if that also appears on both sides. I assume it doesn't, but Maybe in our case, it will be on both sides just to make it easier. So I really want that lip to be the same thickness all the way, but I don't really know how to make that happen. Let's see here. As you see, it like becomes more and more narrow because of this edge here. So maybe I could just use the same shape. Use that as a cutter. I mean, it kind of works. Select these. That's all right, I guess. Kind of clips a bit there, but it'll be all right from a distance, I think. Probably doesn't stick out that much. Maybe something more like that. Right, let's select all these. Is that all? This one too. And then I'm gonna click this one last, and I'm gonna parent everything to that. And name it, I don't know, cylinder edge or something. Ladder. And then I can just right click here and select hierarchy to select everything. Select this one last, and then just mirror it across to get the whole thing. I think that's pretty much done now. The only thing missing is the textures. But because everything is mirrored, like this thing is just one piece, right? It's just mirrored across. This is just a simple frame. This is also just one like plank. Should be very easy to UV and set up that later. Now we can remove some of these faces here that are not going to be visible. Okay, let's have a look at this in rendered mode. Above. Not sure where the floor went. Hold on, let's see. I probably accidentally hit that. Okay. We could give these some temporary colors for now. So this will be some sort of gray color. Not pavement though. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's just give it some more proper textures, and we're gonna bake it down later at some point. You know what I should have done? I should have opened another Blender project and done this in that instead of doing it like this in the scene. It's just I'm so used to doing it like this. It's kind of bad to do it on something that is a bit more complex with more pieces. RGB. Okay, and I want to have a mixed color. I'm going to use Fluent to add an edge mask. Like that. Let's give it like a darker color. Cool. And then these little cubes up here, let's do the same thing with those. Looks like these also appear at the bottom, but they're just not as big. So I'm just gonna pull these down. Oh. There we go. And on top of this one, we're gonna have another edge. This is gonna be set to lighten. And I want the distance to be a little bit bigger. Maybe threshold should be bigger as well. Like that. And for this one, I want it to just be a slightly brighter yellow. Maybe we'll do this instead. Put the dark edges after. Like a slight miscoloration on the edges that are a bit brighter. And then between here, we could probably do something similar again. Bring in an image texture. It's just going to be like a roughness map. That's very low resolution. Something like this one maybe. Change this to object. Projection should be box. So we get it looking a bit more dirty like this. And could probably increase the size of it a bit more like that. Gonna link the materials here so they all use the same yellow. The downside of using these very low poly ladders is it's gonna add the edge there, but maybe if I play with the threshold, it would not detect that, but from a distance, nobody's gonna notice that anyway. So let's just keep adding these materials. These seems to be different. Seems to be some gray color. Okay, and then, so this is the base color, right? This one right here. And I want to add another variation in color there. So let's add another mixed color. How do I want to do this? Let's add a color ramp maybe. Yes, a color ramp. Change this to constant. Maybe add a bit of green in there. And then we can have another image to use as a mask. So that's what I need to do. I need to do it like this instead. That should work, I think. Bit too green, maybe. You can see the changes when I move that slider a bit. I'm overdoing it. I think this is okay. So when I do this, I don't have to worry about how many materials I use or how big the materials become, because if I bake it later, it's still gonna end up being very, very light. I just need it to look somewhat similar to the game. Do the same thing here. So I don't like this very straight looking dirt here. So I want to break it up a little bit. So if I put this mixed color here with a darken, because this one is just black and white, right? So I want to add dark detail on top of this white to break up the mask. And for that, I could just add like any of these grunge textures, I guess. Let's add a color ramp so I can control how black or how white it is. Put that in there. No, it's kind of working. I need to make that a bit bigger. Increase that dark detail. So that's a bit better at least. gonna have these two share the same material. And these things could just be black, I guess, or like gray. Increase the roughness of this thing. Okay. Something is wrong here. Maybe I forgot to mirror that across like that. Then if a color seems to be too bright like that, I usually just put a hue saturation node in the end and lower the value to something like 0.7, and that usually fixes it. 0.5. Quite a lot of work for something that's barely visible from this point of view. Let's also, this kind of makes no sense to me, so I think maybe I made a mistake here. Check, let's remove that. I did make a mistake here, so let's just delete that. Move this up. Snap to edge. These also continue into the tunnel. Let's just apply that, and then I do this, I guess. And then here I could use a Boolean to cut that. Let's just snap it to the end here. Let's make that Boolean. So I do not want those pavement details to stick through. I need to bring that back like this, and then also use the same shape to Boolean the other side like that. Okay, let's preview that, maybe in this window instead, so it's a bit more visible. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, I think I'm gonna end my stream here. Next time, I have to prepare a bit with textures. I have an active subscription on textures.com that I could use just to find something similar to these. I don't know what this is, like metal plating or something, concrete plates. I have no idea. And then also there's like road markings, right? And I made some of these for the interchange map that I could use. I just don't know where that texture is, so I gotta find that, and then I'll put it into the ground zero folder. Okay, I'm just looking, trying to figure out what else I need to do. These black tiles as well. It's a material that appears in quite a lot of places in here. And there is some interiors that have like a concrete half green painted wall. Something like that is probably something I need to try and find as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will actually, I'm not sure if I'll stream tomorrow because I don't know. It's Sunday tomorrow, right? Yeah, maybe I'll stream tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, it'll be around the same time, so 5 or 6 p.m. Central European time. I started a bit later today, but yeah, usually around that time I start streaming, and I stream 1 or 2 hours of this. Okay.